Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Kat. Today I'm going to do a deep dive into a career path that many people don't actually talk about enough from what I think as an option for advanced degree holders. And as the title says, that's equity research. So I just talked to a friend who is working as an associate in a large investment bank. So I want to share all the information with you because he's a little bit too shy for the camera. So I couldn't do, a interview with him. And let me know if you have any questions or comments about this job below. And I will ask him and I'm sure I can address all the questions. Without further ado, let's get started. So first question, what is equity research? Essentially, equity research department is the research department of an investment bank. They are very critical to conduct accurate research to facilitate the investment. Also, potentially to help boost the marketing or the stock performance during an IPO or M&A, merge and acquisition of certain companies. So let me give an example. So let's say investment bank A supported the IPO of biotech company X. And that can be done in different ways through underwriting or whatnot. So the equity research department would kind of write a report on the biotech company X, which hopefully is more positive based on the X past performance, as a lot of companies in the industry rely on equity research reports to kind of evaluate a company if it's buy, sell, hold, etc. And this report is critical for the biotech company X and its stock price, as investors could decide on if they want to buy or not. So a little bit quick background about my friend. So he got his bachelor and MD from a very top tier university in the United States about 4 years ago. Then he decided not to pursue medicine and then went into consulting for about 2 years. When he was applying for the consulting job, he also applied for the equity research position and got an offer at the same time. So this is just telling you that consulting experience is not required if you're interested in equity research only, okay? Also, he's now based in Boston, but equity research positions are in many large cities, mostly in East and West Coasts. What does he do on a daily basis and how is the work-life balance? So every day for him specifically, his work includes monitoring the assigned set of companies, speaking with institutional investors and management teams, creating and updating financial models, and writing the equity research reports or making slides as final deliverable. And there are certain times you cannot miss when the covered company release their reports, which are typically 2 times per day. So morning around 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m., and afternoon 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. So for the company that he's working for, these 2 times are not flexible at all. You have to be working or in the office and make sure that you or at least someone else taking the notes for the call. You might also take notes for other companies that your team member covered as well. So these times are really, really not flexible. But the rest of the day is kind of more flexible. There are not really hard deadline like in consulting. And I remember when I was talking to him, he was like, oh my God, right now my calendar is just so empty. Like back when I was in consulting, right? It's all full and you have to squeeze 30 minutes if something popped up, but not in this case. So he really liked that flexibility. So this kind of comes to the topic of work-life balance, okay? So this company that he's working for right now is quite flexible, as I mentioned. But he also got offer from another company, which asked him to be in the office 6 a.m. in the morning to 9 p.m. at night, which is insane, okay? In addition, it could vary based on the team because the team lead could have very specific preferences. For example, he's in the biotech group, of course, but even within the biotech, there are just different teams and the team dynamic varies. Some are just very chill, but some are just quite intense. There's not much travel. Maybe some conferences or East or West Coast tours to kind of visit pharma companies and ask questions, and that's about it. About the levels within the equity research department, you probably have heard different titles like associate, analyst, and are very confused on the level or hierarchy in the company. I was too when my friend was explaining. I was like, just throw me all these analysts and associates and just what, how does it work, right? So obviously it's very confusing because it varies based on different banks. But at least, okay, within his company, to start off, there are associates. And within associates, there are different levels. So you have associate level 1, 2, 3. And requirements for associates kind of vary. Like for biotech, and mostly PhDs, MDs, people with bio-related backgrounds. But for sectors like oil and gas, bachelor's enough. Then there are analysts and senior analysts who kind of lead the associate team, okay? And there could be like 5 or 10 people under an analyst. And more or less just depends on the sector you cover. As analysts or senior analysts, you will take calls from investors or other people who kind of subscribe to the reports and make sure, those people, their questions get answered. And if not, you will arrange kind of the associates that you manage to confirm, or you call the pharma company who released the data to confirm if the data is correct. Then comes the AVP, associate VP, and VP, and followed by managing director, who is kind of the boss of one sector, let's say biotech. And then you have the boss of all sectors, which is the director of research. Exit strategies, there are typically about 4 exit strategies. One, obviously, if you want to climb the ladder and ending up being the managing director, remember the boss of the sector, which would take about 10 to 12 years, starting as a fresh grad. Another option is to go to the buy side, like the hedge funds, because you kind of already know the industry dynamics and how to do research. So you can kind of like leverage your past experience as in equity research to be a fund manager. Another one is to go to the pharma company, investor relations. The reason being that, you have learned what is the best way to present to the investors as an analyst or associates. And this is critical for the stock performance of biopharma company. Because sometimes even the clinical trial has the positive data, and if presented in a way that is not really convincing, that may possibly plummet your stock. And there are just many examples that I heard from my friends. And lastly, of course, if you're more interested in finance, the numbers, the models, you can move to the finance side as well because you're already in the bank, so you would kind of lateral transition. If you've watched this far, you probably have some interest in equity research. So I will share just a little bit about interview process. The interview typically starts from behavioral sessions with the analysts, the boss of the little team, and the colleagues, like other associates on the same team. Then you have kind of take-home project. It could be a clinical trial, and then you make slides or write reports on your analysis and thoughts about this trial. In the end, the analysts will ask questions for you to answer. And if you pass all that, then it's time to meet kind of the people in the office for other teams, okay? So these people, they might ask you, let's say, which stocks you have been following. And of course, you can use different strategy to answer such questions. You can tailor your answers based on which team that you're going to talk to. So if, let's say, if it's neurology, you want to pick a neurology-focused public company, right? In the end, at the last phase of the interview, you might talk to the top boss, the director of research. Though at this point, if you are hired or not, is really not up to this person, like the top boss. Because as long as you're analyst, like your team leads, and your team like you, then you're golden, okay? Of course, during the interview process, like any other job, you want to look at the team dynamics, because some teams are very laid back, but some can be very, very intense, okay? So for example, technically there are not that many team or formal meetings, so you could kind of like work from home sometimes. But some team leads will stay in office, then you as the associate that under him or her also have to stay, right? And some, team lead analysts, they might leave at 4 p.m. to pick up their kids. Then technically you can leave if you want to as well. So just pay attention. So one interesting thing is when I asked him what is the most challenging thing for this equity research associate position, he said writing, okay? And writing with the tone of the analysts, the team lead. So you technically as an associate need to gather all the information and put all that into a report, right? And I would say it is very much like a research paper, without, of course, much of the introduction of the paper, but you kind of put all the data as kind of the results section of the research paper. And then, you write comments like the discussion section of the research paper. So the only thing that is different is you need to use a tone, well, he told me, that your analyst or team lead prefers. And I was kind of joking, like maybe one day you can just kind of input analyst tone to the AI system and ask the AI to make your article mimicking the analyst tone. Obviously now it's kind of infeasible, but he does have kind of bank of common words the analyst always uses, so you can kind of modify accordingly. Also, because after you're done, you kind of send to the analyst would edit your reports, so you also kind of get used to how analysts like to use or say. Okay, that's all for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about equity research, or if you have any other jobs that you want more of a deep dive, and I can see if I can, find someone who's experienced. If you like this video, don't forget to thumb up and subscribe to my channel for more career options and contents. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.